But something else that's making locals very annoyed is what's happening in Sydney. The Chris Minns government brought through a bunch of vibrancy reforms, they were called, which are aimed at rejuvenating the nightlife. Except now some clubs are taking Chris Minns up on his offer and applying for extended trading hours, and the locals aren't so happy about it. In Concord, the Croatian club wants to extend their current trading hours from 10 p.m. and midnight to 3 a.m. for events 10 times a year. Locals, who some of which do admittedly live within 50 metres of the venue, are going, hang on a second, we don't want this to be a site of drunken parties, concerts till 3 a.m. in the morning. And so it's causing quite the stir. It's attracted over 200 submissions to the council's development review process. But this is going to start happening all around the city and the state as these new laws come into effect. And when you look at how hard it is for hospitality venues, foot traffic is down 20% in the last year. Cost of living, the first thing to go is eating out and enjoying nightlife. So look, I get it. It might be frustrating if you live 50 metres from this club.
Might be frustrating.
It's only 10 times a
hell.
year. It's only 10 times a year. And isn't it good to see people going out and having fun?
No, who needs to be out at 3 a.m. at the Croatian club making all sorts of noise,
People
creating
watching
traffic
soccer.
problems? Watch soccer at home. You don't need to do it at the club at 3 a.m. I think the club wants people to be there. Why are you looking at me like that, Caleb? People live...
Who needs to be out at 3 a.m? I mean, you know, we know you're a Puritan, James, but for goodness sake, all the best things happen after midnight. You know that.
If you live 50 metres from this club, surely the council and the government have a responsibility to protect your rights to get a decent night's sleep. They don't need to have people out at 2, 3 a.m. to revive city nightlife. Nightlife is 11 p.m, 12 a.m, 1 a.m, not 3 a.m. in the morning.
Doesn't get started till 1 a.m.
Mate, go back to the 1940s. I mean, the
1940s was pretty good.
King's Cross was rocking well into the 50s and 60s.
But it's not homes lining.
Yeah, I know, because they well, there are homes there now because they ruined the joint and had to fill it up with homes because there's no nightclubs.
There's pre-existing homes in this area.
Yeah, but let's be real.
The rights of those residents should be respected, not trampled over.
But let's be real, James. They're not going to have concerts going on outdoors until 3 in the morning. I mean, it's well established in places where pubs and clubs and whatever are allowed to trade beyond midnight. They have a time at which they have to stop trading outdoors. When I lived in Melbourne, I lived in South Melbourne, and directly across the roundabout, I lived, you know, here, and over there was the Rising Sun Hotel in South Melbourne. Great pub, by the way. They took a lot of my money when I lived there because I could just walk over the roundabout. It's fantastic. And they would trade on the weekend past midnight, but I think it was after 10:30 or something. They couldn't have people outside. So it didn't particularly bother me.
Well, it didn't bother you because you were there half the time.
Well, but I wasn't always there. But because sometimes I had to work on weekends. But, you know, and yes, you get a bit of noise when people left at 1 or 2 in the morning. But you know what? I was opposite a pub. I didn't particularly care. And I'll tell you what was far more offensive, noise-wise, than that pub. It was that at the other end of the street, 100 metres away, even I loved the Formula One racing. But when Albert Park Formula One was going on, Albert Park was 100 metres down the end of the street, the noise of those cars for the 5 or so days that they race around there was far more offensive than any noise that ever came out of that pub. It was the noise of joy, you know, and it was in South Melbourne. It was the watering hole for the South Melbourne Football Club, which is of course the Sydney Swans. Every time there was a football match on, a Swans match, that joint was full and the place was full of noise. But I lived there and I knew it.
But our problem in Australia, our problem in Sydney is that people are not socialising. They're not going out. Now, the Croatian club here in Sydney, it is a members-based club. It has 1,400 members bound together by their shared values and commitment, plays an important role in the community. I think it's beautiful to see people wanting to get together, even if it's at 3 a.m. It's only once a month. I think you'll survive.
Already with the times it's open to, and you said there were more than 200 submissions, people are complaining not just about noise, but people urinating in the street, traffic problems. They've got the worry of crime because who's out at 3 a.m. aside from these two, and 50 metres from home. And if you bought that house with the existing conditions on that club. Now the conditions are to be changed. I reckon you've got every right to be irate. You moved in there knowing how things worked. Now they want to change the rules.
Look at me. Look at me. I mean, look, I look like a criminal, don't I? Because I like to be out at 3 a.m. I look like a criminal. By the way, can I just say, we were talking about nanny state rules in New South Wales. Did you know that if you are in a venue in New South Wales and after midnight you want a whiskey, for instance, right? They can't serve it to you neat. They're not even on the rocks. You have to mix it with something because apparently, magically after midnight, the effects of a shot of whiskey are worse than they are at 11:59. And those effects are taken away when you put a few drops of water in a whiskey. I mean, for goodness sake, what sort of nanny state are we living in? You can't go out at 3 a.m. and you can't have a whiskey to close your night at 12:30. Ridiculous.
But you want to ban the Formula One?
No, I don't want to. I told you I love the Formula One. I just said that the noise is far more offensive than the noise that comes from the pub. I actually like the vibrancy that it brings to the world, James.